They'd had the ration coupons for nearly 3 weeks. They were the most precious things she'd been entrusted with to date, well, apart from the boys, and she sometimes thought there was nothing precious about any of her brothers, although Danny was sweet, at just turned 5, and Will, still a little boy, at 7.5. "Grab me the soap from the laundry," Mum said. Emma scooted out the kitchen, ducking her head beneath a patch of sailcloth that had come undone. Dad had nailed it to the beams he'd erected over the outdoor walkway so Mum wouldn't get wet when it rained on wash days. It was thoughtful of him, but he didn't do the washing, and Mum and Emma got soaked just from standing in the laundry with the copper boiling as though it was a volcano erupting. "It's not much, is it?" she said as she came back into the kitchen. "What isn't?" Mum asked, taking the soap and checking how many bars were left. "The tea coupons. 2 ounces for a week, £10 for one person for the whole year." Emma wasn't considered an adult, but she liked a cup of tea and was mostly going without. Dad wouldn't have coped with such a small amount. He could drink up to 10 cups a day. She wondered if he got tea where he was now. Surely the soldiers had enough for a brew. "It's what we've got. It's what we put up with," Mum said as she tied her apron strings. "First clothing, now tea. They'll be taking the bread from our mouths soon." "But we make our own." Being rural, they were better off than most who lived in Townsville. The Hatton yard wasn't big enough to grow many vegetables, so Emma collected eggs for Mrs. Jamison down the street in return for having a patch of land on her property to grow their veg. She tended it alongside Mrs. Jamison's daughter Janet, who was 19 and had just started work as a typist in Townsville. Unpaid, mind you, but still, working a proper job. In the city. Janet was talking about being trained for air raids and learning how to drive. Everyone grew veggies or did their bit to help out. And the Colsons provided milk for the town from their 12 cows. Mum took turns with one of Janet's younger sisters to milk them, and that's how they got enough butter and cream for themselves. They used to get raw milk delivered, but the Yanks didn't like it, so now they could only get pasteurised. Not that Emma would be using any milk, raw or otherwise, to put in the cup of tea she wouldn't be getting. "God help us one and all," Mum said. "We'll be bombed in our beds, or worse, thrown out of our own house, evacuated. But to where? That's what I need to know." Emma didn't respond straight away. Sometimes Mum asked questions, then got mad when somebody answered. She often asked God for his blessings too, although she wasn't religious, not like the Catholics who actually went to church. But since Dad had gone to war, Mum spoke to God a lot, whether to ask for his help or to blame him for something she thought was his fault. "Bombs," her mother said. "How many more, and what's to become of us?" The bombing last Saturday and 2 more scares after that, the latest just yesterday, meant worry about being blown up in the middle of the night had taken pride of place in Mum's bag of concerns. Being over an hour's horse and cart ride north of Townsville, they hadn't heard the bombing or the planes. Nobody had, as far as Emma could tell, but panic had struck. The stories flying around were thicker than fruit flies on a bruised mango. If they were all true, they'd be blown up, displaced or starved within the week. It was scary, though, especially without Dad home. Dad was just down the road. The 51st Battalion had been in Salem at the start of March but were now at Mount Louisa. Yet he hadn't contacted them or even replied to Mum's letters. "He's sorting himself out," Mum would say when she was feeling generous. "He wasn't very well before he went." Other times, she called him all sorts of names. "Auntie Doris isn't worried," Emma said, hoping to calm her mother. "She was chipper when I saw her yesterday." Dad's sister lived on the city side of Castle Hill, and she hadn't heard the bombs either. "Doris hasn't got money worries, has she?" Mum said. "She's a woman with a telephone. No wonder she's chipper. She's likely charging people a shilling to use it." Emma tried to look contrite.